You're listening to Civic Media. You can tune into any of our live shows on any radio station across the state with the Civic Media app. Find us in your phone's app store and listen anytime, anywhere. This is your WMDX Daily News Roundup for Mad Radio 92.7 FM and 1580 AM in Madison.
For 92.7 WMDX News, I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. We're still feeling the reverberations from the election. While all the Supreme Court justices were up late watching results on Tuesday, yesterday morning they were right back at work in the Supreme Court chamber, hearing arguments over powers between the legislature and the Attorney General. The win for Susan Crawford means a liberal court will continue to decide key issues in Wisconsin, including abortion rights, collective bargaining, and disputes between the executive branch and lawmakers. The court may also someday hear arguments from Elon Musk's company Tesla. They're trying to get an exemption to dealership law here in Wisconsin. Lisa Hale explains.
A case filed by Tesla in Outagamie County Circuit Court will not be tried in Appleton. Wisconsin has a law that prohibits factory stores from owning and operating dealerships, and Tesla wants an exception to that law. Circuit Court Judge Mitchell Metropolis said on Monday that it makes more sense for the case to be heard where Tesla currently has showrooms, in Madison or in Milwaukee, not in Appleton, where a potential dealership might open. Currently, Wisconsinites who want to purchase a Tesla have to travel to Illinois or Minnesota to pick the vehicle up.
In the wake of mass layoffs in the federal government, Governor Tony Evers wants some of those workers to come here and work for the state of Wisconsin. The state is launching a new effort to recruit staff who are proud of their public service and want to continue working for government, but here in the Badger State instead. The state's Department of Workforce Development will be hosting 8 virtual job fairs this month. They're looking for employees in key fields like healthcare, engineering, and law enforcement.
Do I think that they should have been laid off or fired without any forethought? It just kind of went, boop, here we go, you're fired, don't know why. That's unfortunate, very unfortunate. But if we have jobs that are open that they can compete for, let's have it.
Evers says this is a great opportunity for Wisconsin to gain experienced staff that can improve our government and communities. Meanwhile, federal workers can get a fresh start somewhere new.
The federal employees in Wisconsin that are getting bumped out of their jobs, they're doing good work. People wonder why they're being laid off to begin with or fired. And so we know they're good workers, and we always have vacancies in state government. We want to make sure that they have a good landing place.
The dates for these virtual job fairs are on the DWD's website. Meanwhile, it's the DMV, not the DNR, warning about a problem with phishing. Stuart J. Waddles has more.
The Wisconsin DMV is warning about a phishing scam where crooks impersonate the agency through text messages. The scams claim there's a final reminder for an outstanding toll. Wisconsin doesn't have toll roads. The aim is to trick you into clicking fake links or sharing personal information. If you do get scammed, call local police.
Now, I've seen one of these phishing texts for myself. They look super real. The web address is even wisconsindot.gov. Scammers just seem to be getting better and better at this stuff. And a big announcement from UW-Madison. We now know when the iconic Sunburst chairs and tables will be back at the Memorial Union. They'll be back outside for us starting Wednesday, April 16th, and then the Union is holding a party that Friday to welcome them back home after being in storage all winter. It's free and everybody's welcome. Having chairs out on the Memorial Union looking out onto Lake Monona dates back to the 1930s, but the Sunburst chairs themselves originated in the 60s, and now they're beloved. I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. You're listening to 92.7 WMDX News.
The Brewers win a thriller. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. Baseball, the Brewers and Royals tied at 2-2. Bottom of the 11th. Milwaukee's Oliver Dunn. A base runner on third. Bryce Terang at the plate. Brian Anderson with the call on FanDuel, Wisconsin.
And Terang does square, gets a bunt down. Here comes Dunn. He scores! A squeeze bunt walk-off for Bryce Terang. And the Brewers win 3-2 in 11.
Terang on finding a way to win.
It feels good. We were in that situation because of our pitching staff keeping us to a one-run game through the ninth and, kept us in the game.
Manager Pat Murphy.
If you put a bunt like that down, there's nobody in the world that can defend anything about it.
The Brewers open a 4-game series tonight against the Reds. The Bucks are in Philly tonight taking on the 76ers. A major setback for the Badgers women's volleyball team. 6'1" Grace Lopez suffering a season-ending torn ACL in her right knee. With Sports, I'm Mike Clemens.
On your entertainment beat, I'm Pete Schwaba. Stage moms or dads can be pretty annoying. It's one thing to be overbearing, but according to Macaulay Culkin, his dad Kit was abusive. The Home Alone star and brother of Oscar-winning Kieran Culkin sat down with Oliver and Kate Hudson on their sibling Revelry podcast and said he's had a poor relationship with his father since childhood. Culkin says it made him realize even at a young age he would never be like that with his own kids. What a life he's had, and still only in his early 40s. Here's one of Pete's picks. I'm halfway through season 3 of Bosch Legacy, and the show is delivering big time. There's always a fear when you really like a show that you won't like the final season, but that is not the case. The show follows private investigator and former detective Harry Bosch, played by Titus Welliver, as he investigates LA-based wrongdoings and disappearances. The show has 2 talented cast members and nightlight guests in Scott Clace and Jamie McShane. The show is definitely worth a look, but maybe just start from season 1 of Bosch. Actor Val Kilmer passed away on Tuesday of complications from pneumonia. Kilmer was a Juilliard-trained actor and to this day is still the youngest person ever accepted into the prestigious school. Kilmer was an incredibly versatile actor who had well over 100 movie credits in his career that spanned several genres. Val took on roles like Doc Holliday in Tombstone, Jim Morrison in The Doors, and Batman. One of his most notable roles includes his first movie role as Nick Rivers in the hilarious Top Secret, which was written by 3 Wisconsin comedy legends, Jim Abrahams and Jerry and David Zucker. Kilmer also shined in such films as Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, both Top Gun movies, and of course Real Genius, in which he played Chris Knight, a brilliant college student who mentors a younger and even smarter genius. Kilmer contracted throat cancer in 2015, which more or less ended his career. There's a great documentary about the actor available on Prime Video called Val. Val Kilmer was 65 years old. Jeffrey Dean Morgan might be one of the most notorious and hated actors in TV history after playing Negan on The Walking Dead. According to the New York Post, he's just a big softie. Recently, Morgan recalled his role on Grey's Anatomy in season 2 while reconnecting with Katherine Heigl over Zoom. Morgan plays one of Heigl's patients who dies, and he says he can't watch the scene because it makes him cry. Morgan insists it's not because of his own acting and just a beautiful scene. Sure. The White Lotus is about to wrap up season 3 on Max. As usual, most fans of the show are trying to figure out who will be killed off in the finale reveal. This season has been the most controversial due in part to its use of incest, but it hasn't affected the ratings. Every episode of The White Lotus is typically, or in some cases, longer than an hour. Season 3 will wrap things up with an episode coming in at a whopping 90 minutes. Get the popcorn popping. For more showbiz fun, tune in to Nightlight with me, Pete Schwaba, weeknights from 6 to 8 p.m. on the Civic Media Radio Network.
A little breezy this morning, but the wind will die down today, and it should be partly cloudy here for most of the day. Our high right around 48 this afternoon. Tonight, partly cloudy, down into the low 30s by daybreak. Tomorrow, sunshine in the morning, clouds, and a few showers in the afternoon with a high of 55. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable. Right now, it's 39.
That's your WMDX Daily News Roundup from Civic Media. Subscribe to this podcast on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you find your podcasts. Find more news at mad.radio. The national news cycle never stops, but it can be hard to find news about your local community. Civic Media is dedicated to providing quality local and state news coverage across Wisconsin. With the Civic Media app, you can get notifications about local stories that matter to you and your community. Find the free Civic Media app in your phone's app store and choose notifications from the menu to tell us what kind of news you want to hear about.